Welcome everybody to the Martin E. Siegel Theater Center here at the Graduate Center CUNY. My name is Frank Helschko, I'm the Executive Director and Director of Programs at the Center. And thank you for coming out on this Thanksgiving week. And despite still, I think, some complications and transportations, so we really appreciate it, and we would like to thank you for coming out. Tonight we have an event which I think is truly an important one. It is part of our US theater series, and it's called Plays from the New Black Fest, and with founder Keith Josef Adkins and 3 playwrights and a great director. And I normally have really good, I think, spies in the community and know what's going on. And I keep getting these emails, from that New Black Fest, and they look truly so well done. The ideas was the consecutive, coming on the level of presentation, also the energy and the way it was communicated. And then I invited Keith and say, come for lunch to know more, and I had no idea what a strong organization it actually already is, which tells a little bit about us, that we really do not know everything as we should know. But anyway, we talked and we said we would like to have an evening to present the work of the Black Fest, maybe also give it an additional push to everybody to know about it and know more about it. We think this is a truly important initiative, something that also the time is right for, and we hope it's opening of a dialogue or of a conversation that we will carry on. So again, thank you all for coming. The format of the evening will be readings of 3 excerpts. All the playwrights are here. We will then talk about a panel discussion with Sarah Rose Leonard, who's our Siegel Center Next Generation Fellow, will speak with Keith and the playwrights. And then you all will have a chance to question and answer, have a little session and a small reception in this room afterwards. It shouldn't be longer than 90 minutes, so by 8 or close to 8 it will be over. And again, thank you all for coming out. Just one thing, in case you have a cell phone, just take it out for one moment. I'll do the same. See if it's on silent and out. Now it is. And especially for the speakers, like all the playwrights, your phones should be power off completely for the discussion. We have wireless microphones, not only so you hear it all better, but the evening will also be recorded and live streamed, so that we don't have any interferences. Again, thank you for coming, and Keith is going to say some few words about the play. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Keith Josef Adkins. I'm the Artistic Director of the New Black Fest. We'll make it very simple and quick. Tonight we are presenting 3 plays by 3 really important and incredible playwrights. The first play tonight we're doing an excerpt of is called Silent Voices by Judith Adong, who's a Ugandan playwright here on fellowship at Temple, Fullbright Fellowship. Her play is very quickly about child soldiers in the Northern Ugandan War. The second play we're going to read, an excerpt of, is Paul Notice's play Leaves, Trees, Forest, which is about the new generation, or I should say young generation, of college students who are getting amazing college educations but are sort of stumped by the reality of the world they're entering. So it's a pretty interesting play, and there's some drugs involved. The third play, the excerpt we're reading tonight, is Dominique Morisseau. Dominique recently was a Pony Fellow, and so that's an amazing feat for playwrights in this generation. Her play, Made in the D, is about the auto industry and the recession. So that's what's happening tonight. There are excerpts, a little taste for you, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Silent Voices by Adong, Lucy, Judith. Act 1. Mother's ancestral homestead. Mother sits on the floor of her empty house and winnows some millet grains. A large painting of an Acholi homestead with a huge hen crowing right in front hangs up in the back. In the background, she hears the voices of children play and laugh in the nearby and distant neighborhoods.
What is a family? When does a home become a home? It's so quiet, so still. The silence is deafening. It's so silent here that you can hear the voice of silence.
She begins to winnow.
Living in this world bothers me. No one to help me. Mother, I wish I would die. The sadness kills me. I have become other people's dog. Even farming, I farm alone. No one to help me. Mother, I wish I would die. This sadness kills me. Oh, I have become other people's dog. Mother, even cooking, I cook for nothing. No one to eat. No one to eat it, mother. I wish I would die. This sadness kills me. I have become other people's dog.
A young, likable man, Amon, enters closely followed by Margaret, holding some groceries, but Mother doesn't see her properly.
I have brought you the visitor I talked about, Mother.
Mother gets up, excited to receive them.
Good evening, Mom.
Good evening, my daughter.
Margaret comes forward to hand her the groceries. When Mother sees her, she freezes and then quickly turns back, letting go of the groceries that drop to the floor. Margaret organizes them and picks them up.
What is she doing here?
Mother, she is a good friend.
That's not what I asked you.
Mother turns sharply to Margaret, still horrified by her presence.
I think you should leave.
What?
Just leave, young lady, and avoid trouble.
Mother, you can't just tell her to...
It's okay, Mom.
Margaret hands Amon the groceries and exits. Amon calls out to her.
Let her go.
Mother, what was that all
I
about?
said let her go. If you know what is good for you, you will start looking for another girl for a future wife.
What was wrong with this one?
Any girl, Amani, but not from that family.
But she is not her family.
She is his granddaughter.
Whose granddaughter? Why can't I marry her? Mother, there's something you are not telling me.
They messed up everything, and yet they were rewarded with big cars and big houses, blood cars.
Ooh, Margaret's grandfather?
No, all of them. Those so-called liberators.
And what does that have to do with Margaret?
Just listen to your mother, son.
Why are you so bitter, Mother?
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about, Mother. She is a nice girl, yet you refuse to accept her.
Mother only stares hard at him. He hands her the groceries. Mother ignores them and they drop to the floor.
Take them away.
It is a gift, Mother.
I don't need blood things. So much destruction, so many lives lost, and all for what? Crumbs of sugar and salt.
It was a liberation, Mother. Certain sacrifices had to be made.
So where is your liberation right now, son? Where is your liberation? Selling little things in a village shop while they cruise in luxuries?
Things always don't work out as planned. We can't blame the leaders for that.
What leaders? You call those murderers leaders?
We will all be compensated.
When?
Their compensation came first. They say ours is coming soon.
Son, you call there's compensation. No way. They have just been rewarded.
You don't understand.
What is there to understand? It is plain and clear.
It's amnesty, Mother.
Stop throwing around big words that you don't understand.
It's forgiveness and compensation, Mother. The surest way to peace. Don't you want peace?
And why start with them? Why start with the very perpetrators while their victims sprawl in poverty and more suffering. So much luxuries for so much destruction. They think that they can get away with everything, and we live happily thereafter.
And what does that even mean?
They just can't get away with it, son.
I don't have time for this again, Mother. I have to go.
Omni exits, taking the groceries along with him. Mother follows him, calling out after them.
Stay away from her, you hear me? Stay away! Why do you all look at me so? Yes, I was happily hopeless with my full mist day, but the sun sneaked into my mist. The sun sneaked in, sounding all musical. You all saw or heard. It was in the papers and on the radio. They called it peace talks.
Jump forward. The road.
Will you stop running around putting your life in danger?
Go away.
Will you at least listen to me for a moment?
I have to go see her.
I know.
Talk to her.
But it is risky you going about town like that when you know there are some people after your life.
She couldn't have, could she?
I don't know. What do you think? You know her better.
I don't know, Margaret. But it's all this ritual talk I hear scaring me.
Do you think that...
That is the problem. I can't think anymore. I need to talk to her. Get some answers.
But how are you going to get through to the prisons without the villagers trying something?
I can't just go into hiding. I have to know the truth.
Okay then. I will come with you.
No way. I don't want to put you at risk too.
You are not putting me at risk. I am volunteering.
This is my problem, Margaret, so will you let me deal with it my way?
You are my boyfriend, Amon. So your problem is my problem.
Come on, Margaret. Don't go complicating things now.
I am not complicated.
Yes, you are. Imagine if villagers attacked us. It would be 2 lives at risk.
Well, you worry about your life and leave me to worry about mine.
Listen, Margaret. This is not a joking matter anymore.
I know, Amon. And I have never taken it as a joke.
Maybe your aunt was right. You are risking your life being with me.
And what are you saying exactly?
I think maybe it's better if we stayed away from you.
Are you breaking up with me now?
I'm only trying to save your life.
Don't you love me anymore?
What does love got to do with anything anymore, Margaret?
But I still love you.
It's useless, Margaret.
Will you at least look at me when you talk to me?
Go back home. Find someone else and marry.
But it is not that simple, Oman.
That's why it is life.
I mean, I'm pregnant. I'm carrying our baby.
This can't be. How did this happen?
How did this happen?
I know how it happened. I mean, how could that happen?
How could that happen? This is Wes. Don't you want to have a child with me? Start a family? Our own family?
Start a family. What is family? What family? How can we bring up a child in this hostility? This animosity? This cannibalism?
I don't know. But we can try.
Try what, Margaret? This is just a vicious circle of endless grudges.
But it doesn't have to be. We can't look at our unborn as a vicious circle of murder. What if this is hope? A sign that we should fight for our love. A chance for healing old scars.
There are scars that stay with us forever.
So you are just giving up on us. Are you not willing to try to fight for us?
She draws closer to him, trying to appeal to him.
Come on, Amon. He's here now. We can't run away from this. All we have to do is try. Just try.
That's why it's important for me to do this alone now. I have to find out the truth about Mother's ritual. That's our only hope, Margaret.
And what if she did it? What if she tells you she did?
Go back to your work, Margaret. I must do this alone.
He walks away. Margaret calls after him.
Will I see you later?
Jump forward. Oman goes to see his mother in prison to ask if she did kill Fiona, a child from the family of the rebel leader who abducted her, for which mother is currently held prisoner. But he comes face to face with the news that mother has just confessed to the kidnap and murder of all the 5 missing children from the same family.
My son, you came to see me.
The guards pull her away. Oman halts and turns around, keeping his position.
Please, just 1 minute with my son. I beg you.
The guards look to the CID for approval, which he gives them. They let go of her, but keep a close watch. She wants to move closer to Oman, but her feet fail her. Oman approaches her, barely holding himself.
No, Mother, I did not come to see you. I had come to ask you if you did it, but I can't ask you that now, can I?
I am sorry, son.
For what, Mother? For all the innocent lives you took? For the messing up my life? Or for both?
Oh, my son. You are too young and too hopeful.
I just want to understand, Mother. Why? Why, Mother? Please, say something.
The guards reach out for Mother. Oman pleads to...
Please! Just a moment. Please say something, Mother. Tell me something. Tell me you didn't know what you were doing. Tell me you were possessed by an evil spirit or something.
You wouldn't understand.
Is that all you can say?
This was never meant to hurt you, son.
Never meant to hurt me. Never meant to. What would I tell people when they point fingers at me saying, look, there goes the son of a murderer. Never meant to hurt me. How do I walk head high ever again in this community? Never meant to hurt me. What would I tell your grandchildren when they come back from school telling me their peers call them names and don't play with them? Asking me why everyone says their grandmother was a murderer. What do I tell them? Don't tell me this was never meant to hurt me. Give me a reason. Tell me what to say. Tell me something else. Tell me anything but that.
I don't know. I can't tell you what to tell them. But I can tell you they started it all. They started it all. I have nothing.
You have me.
You are too young to understand.
I am a man now.
Forgive me, son. My eyes are too misty for you. Pray. Pray for yourself. Pray that God looks down upon you more kindly than he did me.
You're right, Mother. I will pray to God, but not for me. I will pray that God will grant your soul the peace you have yearned for but never found here on earth.
To the guards.
Thank you. You can take her away now.
Epilogue. Darkness reigns. A very small ray of light of prison ventilation sneaks in. Mother sits quietly and stares hard into the audience like a zombie, not looking at anyone in particular.
Why do you all look at me so? If my abduction, my captivity, was my liberation, freedom and restoration to supremacy, then how did I end up subdued, caged, and lonely? It's so quiet in here. It's so quiet, like my home. It's home. Is your home quiet and bleak like mine? Of course not. can hear them. Your children and grandchildren fill your compound, buzzing with delight like bees, running around in glee, laughing at my empty compound. I can hear them. Do you hear that? I can hear them. They're coming. I can hear them.
What about us?
I can hear them.
What about us?
I can hear them again.
What about us?
They're coming.
What about us?
They're here.
What about us?
They're here now.
Become weary from the dead, mourning for a world lost to us. Forgotten souls cry out, we cry. What about our lives, our dreams and hope, buried in the ground, cast away? Forgotten souls cry out, we cry.
I am an empty soul, devoid of life, robbed of my family, humanity, sanity, broken, haunted voices cry out.
What about the right to innocence, to be a child, to be untainted, undamaged, undestroyed? Don't let innocence die, killed by endless adult wars.
What of the dreams in our children's eyes, killed before the crack of dawn? What of justice? What of the law, we ask? What about love, hope? What about the future?
What about the things to make the world a better place?
What is the world without love and no freedom? Let's save love.
Save love.
Save the future.
Save the future.
For all we've lost. Let us save all we can. We stand joined as one.
Let our voices reach far out. We call out and shout. Let our justice now resound. We cry. What about us?
We cry.
What about me?
What about us?
What about me?
We cry. What about us?
What about me?
What about us?
We cry.
We cry. What about now?
We're tired of waiting.
What about now? We are here to say, what about now?
What about the future?
What about now?
What about the peace?
What about now? We are tired of waiting.
What about now? We call on you.
What about now to lend a hand?
What about now for a new day?
What about now? We ask, we ask, we ask, we ask. What about now? The end.
Leaves, trees, forest by Paul Notice. Charles appears in a space representing his living room. On the floor, dozens of notebooks lie about. Charles looks at his phone.
Shit. Oh, come on, man. On! Alan! Alan! Yo! Damn! Yo, I'm sorry, I was just gonna...
Yo, I know, bro. It still freaked me out.
Alan takes out an eighth of marijuana.
They didn't call.
Huh? Who? What you talking about?
Alan takes out a couple of economic journals, hash pipe, and plucks a nugget of weed from his eighth. He drops the nugget in a grind.
I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, dude, come on.
Oh no, man, don't tell me that.
They didn't call, man. They didn't call.
Did you say anything to him?
Say anything to them? What does that mean? You don't ask about a job you didn't get.
I'm not saying that, Charles. I'm saying check before assuming that they already filled the position.
It's May.
I know it's May. Wait. May. May as in, we got 30 days to get these people their money, because I definitely don't know that.
No, I mean it's May. Alan, why would he wait till May?
I don't know. I'm not him. You're not him, so ask. I don't have room for you to fail here, man. It's a lot of money, dude. A lot of money that I can't pay by myself, so ask.
Ask. No.
What do you mean, no? Do you want to be homeless?
No, I'm just,
Listen, man. Under law, we agreed to pay this man some of what's due to him, all right? The judge gave us a break. Now, if we don't want to pay him, that means we do not have a place to stay. But we also have to pay a fine. We face jail time, and it shows up on our credit. Do you understand?
I do. I'm just.
No. Do you understand that with bad credit, we can't get another lease? With bad credit, we can't even get a real job because now they run background checks.
For a criminal record.
Criminal and financial. And we be fucked on both accounts. Do you understand? You need to get this job.
Okay, all right. Look, I just can't come to him yet. I need some help on this. Help me, man. I need help with this, Alan. With getting the job. Sealing the deal.
Time for another brainstorm.
Alan hands Charles the pipe.
Screw that. I need a monsoon. Oh. There's something wonderful about pie.
They call it THC.
Such a good idea.
THC, bro?
No, the Socialist Fund for Weed. You know our thing.
Okay, man, we didn't come up with that.
Of course we did. We came up with it when we smoked at Dana's house.
No, I mean, it's not a new concept. People buy bulk together all the time. That's why you have Sam Club and Costco.
No, I mean the fact that we have a working system where we both contribute individually for the greater good.
Exactly what I just said.
Okay, but the fact that we keep the fund at $80, set price no matter what. If one of us is having a hard time, the other one covers it. And then vice versa. When the other guy gets in trouble. That's utopia, man. That's trust. That's community, partnership. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, though someone ends up paying more than their fair share.
I'll pay you back.
Yeah. How? That's what I'm wondering. I think we should get back on track with that thing.
Yeah, healthcare. Let's do healthcare.
What about healthcare? It's boring.
It's not. It's shit. Oh, yeah. It hit me.
Already?
I don't waste weed like you. You're supposed to hold it in.
It only makes you feel high because of oxygen deprivation.
And THC. You hold it in your lungs faster so it absorbs it more.
Funk that. 80 doobies to the face, funk that. 12 bottles of the case, nigga, fuck that. Say they hit me with the waist, nigga, fuck that. Got a high tolerance when you got no job. Like, what?
Not funny.
Don't get no limit, just give me some with it. Whatever. I'm feeling it anyway, so there goes your theory.
Oh shit. It's coming to me.
Spin!
Okay. So what happens when you have a family that say they get sick? I mean, one of them gets really sick.
what about them? Obamacare?
No, wait. Okay, stay with me, all right? Pre-existing condition insurance plan, right? Right?
Right.
The pre-existing condition plan under Obama, it only covers people who haven't had health insurance for 6 months.
Okay, so what?
Listen now, listen to this, all right? That's the thing.
What's the thing, bro?
That's one of the cracks people fall through. I mean, we have a safety net, yeah, a nylon mesh of food stamps, Medicare, and unemployment, but how big are the holes? We save some, but the design isn't built to catch them all.
Deep.
What?
Can't be that many falling through, though. I can't really see how that's
No, Al, look. There are people who get denied certain treatments, life-saving treatments with the insurance they have now, right?
Right. But
No, they can get treatment for their disease, but any new or frankly more expensive treatment for an illness, no. When it comes to the poor, they don't have a choice.
So what? Then they go on Obamacare, wait 6 months, and then...
Exactly. They have to drop their insurance and wait 6 months. Do you know how long that is to a patient with HIV, lupus, cancer? 6 months without coverage, without treatment.
Damn. So you want to maybe write an article or something? What you want to do?
I want to write a law.
Pardon?
I guess technically a bill, but
Wait. You want to pass a law?
no, Alan, I will not. Whatever. I'm gonna draft a bill that saves the people who fall through the cracks. That's it. These people, dude. Don't you want a TV?
No, but I want to pay these people back for their rent.
I know, and we can do that. But we gotta think big now, man. It's game time. This is a Hail Mary.
So what is that Hail Mary gonna look like? Because you only got about 9 hours or so before we have to be there.
It's gonna. What do you mean?
Who's gonna pay for it?
Oh, God damn it, Alan, I don't know. I'm riffing right now, man. Let me spitball.
I'm just saying, somebody gotta pay the doctors and the surgeons or whatever else those extra treatments and
Well, shit. Don't you think it's worth it to save lives? I'm speaking off the cuff here, man. Work with me.
Yo, it's too hard, man. You're the one that said there's too many holes in it anyway. Plus, it's boring. Plus, I'm hungry.
You giving up on me? You telling me to give up?
No, I'm not saying that.
No, you're telling me I'm not capable of doing something that I set my mind to.
Man, ain't nobody saying that at all, Charles. I'm saying no one is capable of it.
I am.
Fine. Who pays for it then?
Fine. Government pays for it. Or the insurance companies with tax incentives.
Hold up. What happened to my zebra cakes that I had over here last night?
You ate them. Remember? You used them to make your BOT because you were out of bread. I'm hungry.
My stomach yearns for nourishment. All right, I'll head into the dining hall. You still got that Tupperware? Is it clean?
No, stay, dude. We're not finished. Okay, we can have a choice, right? That's good. Either the insurance company can elect to take a tax break and allow for all life-saving treatments to be covered, or the government covers it.
Cool. Both of these options lead to debt, though. So once again, who's gonna pay for it in this economy?
We are. We won't. We just don't know it yet. We bury it.
Bury. What you mean? Slide a few pages in the middle of the stack and hope they don't look?
Yeah, because they never do. Because they suck.
Somebody's gonna read it.
Then let them. Let that one idiot conservative nerd raise his hand in Congress and say, I oppose this bill because it'll save lives. I'd love to see that. It's the perfect law. Socially progressive, and yet Midwest friendly. It'll be my political opus. My political opus is gonna bring me into focus. My ideas for the future, yeah. It'll be my political opus. My opus.
11 o'clock soon, so I doubt whatever the hell you call it will be ready for tomorrow. Plus, you never said why it was Midwest friendly.
Because it's the God bill.
Charles, that sounds very stupid.
For one, it allows churches to work with developing charter schools while saving costs on overcrowding in public schools. Bam! See that? Fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, for the church school. Good job. I'm gonna pass out now because I'm high. And because this conversation is really depressing.
No, I just have to do it, Alan. It's easy. I fucking talk about stuff like this all the time. What are you talking about? Look.
Charles picks up a notebook and tosses it to Alan. He picks up another and another and tosses them to Alan.
This.
What is
this?
Okay? What are you throwing at me?
I already wrote this shit out. I already wrote it, Alan.
What is this, man?
The God bill. It's not just gonna be one thing. It's a masterpiece. The holy grail of social reform and good governance. It's all here in all of this. I mean, well, the notes are here. A lot of notes. See,
Charles takes one of the notebooks and combs through the pages with
I already, okay, see?
Okay, all right. Yeah.
See?
All right.
See?
You need to write.
Yeah.
No, I mean this is.
I did. I wrote it.
This is really good. I mean, and if there's more of this, then there's more of this on the ground.
All of it.
Take it, man. Make the God know.
End of excerpt.
Made in the D by Dominique Morisseau. Act 1, Scene 1. In darkness, smoke comes out of a stack. The sound of auto plant machinery hums and rattles. Hip-hop drum beats, Jay Dilla inspired, blend into the rhythm, a cacophony of working class hustle. Echoes of sighs, machinery hums, hums, hums. Jay Dilla beats rock, rock, rock. They blend together until we are almost bobbing our heads to it. An assembly line hymn.
In silhouette, the drone of workers on the line. Actions of operating stamping machines. No clear people, just shadowed workers missed by the smoke. Can be a dance or some other inspired movement. The background, sounds fade out.
Lights rise on a break room at an auto assembly plant. Harsh fluorescent lights bleach the room. Posters on the wall of various cars and SUVs. Pictures of various auto parts, shops, sparkling engines, etc. A table and some chairs sit in the middle of the room. A raggedy couch, some crates that hold random kitchen supplies, plasticware, ketchup packets, etc. Somewhere, a microwave and refrigerator.
Most important in the room, the bulletin board. Covered in notices and papers, but larger than all are two signs posted on top in bigger paper. One sign, handwritten, says, Unit meeting Thursday. Don't miss it again, y'all. The other sign, also handwritten, says, No smoking Faye.
Faye, heavy walk and weathered from the day, walks into the break room, over to her locker, takes off a sweatshirt, leaving her in a white t-shirt and hard yellow boots, dirty and warm. She moves past the no smoking sign, looks at it blankly, pulls out a cigarette from her bosom, lights it and puffs. Dez enters, wearing gloves and a vest.
Woo! Cold in the bitch today, ain't it? Told them fools something ain't right with the heating here. Foreman could give a damn less.
Reggie bringing in a heater today, supposed to.
Reggie supposed to been brought in a heater days ago. Head somewhere else.
He got a lot on his mind.
He ain't the only one.
Dez opens the fridge, pulls out a lunch, dilapidated sandwich, looks at it pitifully, bites into it anyway, looks at Faye squarely.
You ain't cold?
I got heat you don't know shit about. Leave me alone.
Oh, hell, Faye. You on that over 50 pause.
Oh, you better leave me alone. Talking about that 50 stuff.
You hitting my mama status. It's about to get serious. Well, I ain't gonna be freezing just because you having fire flashes.
I don't want, listen, I done told you don't mess with me, boy.
I know how y'all do. Be in the dead of winter and she talking about, Dad, roll the car window down. I'm like, hell no, Mom. Well, I gotta get freezed to death in the middle of January just because you over there in your own personal July.
I hope your mama slapped you good. Ain't supposed to be bothering no woman when she's battling her heat.
She did. You know you ain't supposed to be smoking. You ain't see Reggie's sign?
This is what I think of Reggie's sign.
You know he gon' trip. He'll write you up.
Better not.
Think you a OG, don't you?
I'm his fool. Been on the line longer than you been born.
You swear.
For you knocked up your first girlfriend in the back of somebody's phone.
You know I ain't never knocked up nobody and nothing.
Been putting in my time before you even knew what stamping plant was, fool. So step off and give me my due. I'm your elder up in here. Bow down and lick the dust off my tent.
You better go on somewhere with that.
The door to the break room opens. Janita, a young woman wearing goggles, enters. She is visibly pregnant. She heads straight for the fridge. Dez smiles at her.
Hey, baby.
Shut up, Dez.
She gonna file a sexual harassment report on your tail.
To who?
Me, fool. And then I'm gonna throw the book at you.
Who has some of my salad dressing?
What, me?
Me neither.
I put my name on it. Big letters. SHANITA. Who the hell can't read?
She sits down in a huff and tends to her salad.
Y'all and them damn signs.
What you eating salad for? I like my woman with meat on their bones.
Boy, you swear that somebody's God I want you. Faye, you smoking up in here?
For 5 seconds. I'm sorry. I come in this break room because it's small and quiet and don't nobody hardly use it. Most folk leave or eat in their cars. And y'all don't find my hideaway and come in here and ruin every smoke break I can steal. Don't know how you worry about my smoke, but not all that dust out there and then swimming in your lungs.
I'll wear my mask, and I'm not stepping off the line until I absolutely have to get the most of my benefits. I should quit anyway.
I did.
You gotta try again. Told you my cousin was using a patch. Said it worked for her.
That patch is a damn lie. All these programs are. You quit when you're ready to quit. Till then, and then you just nothing but a nicotine tease, pretending you don't want it, but still licking your lips whenever you pass a Slim Jim. Call her name flirting, and then she tell you to get her in a kiss, right down to the ash.
You better quit, Faye. Don't know nobody that invents where they can battle breast cancer and still be smoking like it ain't no thing.
They like flirting with death.
Been this way over 50 years, don't see why I ought to change now.
What your son gotta say about that?
Not a damn thing.
Stubborn.
As a mule.
Your mama's. How's production coming on the third line?
Slow. Since we done lost half the crew, I don't know how Reggie expect us to meet deadline. I'm already working overtime 4 days this week. You crazy if you think I'm gonna do more than that. My feet swelling as it is.
Want me to rub them?
Want me to kick you?
I'll take your overtime, you and Dez.
No,
you won't.
Not me, nah. You know I'm saving up.
You still talking about that repair shop?
Found me a garage over on 6 Mile. All I gotta do is save me enough to buy it outright. Won't take me too long. A few more months of overtime. I'm in there.
And then what? You quit?
Quit? You mean if we ain't next to get dropped? Because there's dead flies all around this plant, Faye. You can stay and wait to get swat. I ain't.
Anywhere else you try to go, you gonna get swat too, shit. Better ride that car till the wheels falls off, is what I say.
You gotta make yourself irreplaceable. That's what I'm doing.
How you figure you irreplaceable? I've been moved around from stamping doors to installing shocks to them 7 years I spent sewing interiors. Back to stamping doors with you fools. It ain't nobody in this plant, man or woman, more irreplaceable than Faye Davis.
I'm talking about efficiency and ethic. I don't complain. Got the least write-ups, do a lot of overtime.
And you fine in the mud. That make you irreplaceable as hell to me.
And that sexual harassment charge, 5,062.
Oh, you keeping count. That's sweet.
And anyway, I'm in good standing with the union.
Everybody in good standing with the union except for Des.
Dues too damn much.
Dues is necessary. Only way to keep the union alive. The only way to keep the union alive. You youngins don't have no respect for the blood been spilled, so your ass have some benefits. Working in a factory and don't know shit about how you done got here.
They don't start all that history business with me. I get one behind and you bastards put me in default. Like I even wanted to join this damn union. Forced me to pull money out of my check every month. For what? I still ain't seen a damn thing that UAW do for me but force me to strike when I don't even want to. Rather stack my paper and build me a freeway out of here and into my own enterprise. I done paid enough dues in my life that don't none of them union brothers know a damn thing about. Till they give a hell about that, they can suck. They might get my money, but I ain't got to smile and grin when I sign that shit over. Feel like gritting my teeth, I'm gonna grit my teeth.
I'll give you something to grit your teeth on.
Knock him out real good, Faye. One extra time for me.
But you ain't got to knock me out, so I don't even put up a fight. You can just have your way with me.
Boy, please.
Faye, there you are. How's it looking for you?
For me? What for? I still got a half an hour left on my break. Till them fools on 5 line take a chill pill and let me stay here.
Right,
Rest my dogs.
I had to bring the heater and I wanted to chat to you for a second.
Oh, finally a heater.
Smell like smoke in here.
No, that was.
How big do I have to make the sign?
Bigger?
You got more overtime for me?
I might be able to find something, but Charlie and Bo put in before you.
Charlie and Bo been getting overtime all week. What about me?
What about you? You want me to throw them? You want to throw them to the side because you took too long to ask?
Don't mean you gotta let them have all the overtime. Ain't supposed to be no monopolies on overtime.
Don't start fussing with me, Jazz. I don't need your insubordination today.
Insubordination?
Dad can have my overtime. I was gonna tell you anyway. Had to take a doctor's appointment this afternoon. Only time I could get in.
Gonna find out that gender?
Not sure yet. Think I want to be surprised.
Fine, Des, you're wrong. I'm done with it. I'm gonna plug this up, but then you ain't gonna be able to use the microwave. Can't use too much wattage in this outlet. Gotta have to pick and choose.
If that ain't hood rigging, I don't know what is.
Gotta take what you can get.
That's a company's heater? Or you brought that from home?
Just take the heater.
Unit leaders ain't responsible for bringing in heaters to keep the break room warm.
Just take the heater.
Hey, Reggie, I heard they closed down Kemp.
Where'd you hear that?
Bonnie J.
News from Boney J always come crooked and on the diagonal. You should know not to listen to rumors like that.
No. He showed it to me in plant closing news.
It's in the newsletter?
Black and white and red all over.
I guess they went ahead with it then. News about Kemp been back and forth circulating for about 2 years now. Thought they got revived when that new Chrysler came out. Kemp was the #1 company for exporting their shocks.
They doing them within now.
We the last small factory standing now, ain't it?
Sure is.
My 25 line is gonna be a massive undertaking. You gotta have to bring a rigging crew from all over. You gotta start hitting the gym more. You can go down there and find some pickup work, Des.
Too bad I could give a damn less watching another plant turn into a ghost town. I'm straight on that.
You afraid of ghosts?
The assembly line ghost? Hell yeah.
Shut up, Des.
Say them empty plants are breeding ground for them. You can hear the echoes of machines just running and running in the hollow space. Them fools that be going down there playing in the ruins, dumbass white boys over there from Windsor in Ohio, stand up in front of those empty plants and take pictures like it's some kind of cabaret backdrop. Heard that be the last picture they ever take. Some of them jokers never make it back out. The old gas vapor swallowed them whole, disappeared.
That's stupid.
Even more stupid is the press operator that goes around spreading those tall tales.
You ain't got to believe me. I know what I know.
And that ain't much.
Oh, shit. My break almost over and I didn't even get to make good on my promise to Boney J. Supposed to catch him for a game of bones and take his money right quick.
You know you ain't supposed to gamble at work. I can write you up. You got to catch me in action first.
See y'all quitting time. Shanita, I'll meet you out front, walk you to your car. Ain't safe out there after dark.
You hit on me, and I'm gonna pepper spray your ass.
Not till our first date, baby.
I'm gonna go back to, still got 10 minutes, but I'm walking slow these days. Swollen feet ain't quick, you know? Oh, hey, Faye, I'm bringing in a book of baby names tomorrow. You gonna help me pick something?
Thought you said you didn't want to know the gender.
Something unisex.
I'm gonna talk to the foreman about getting the radio fixed again.
They shutting us down anyway.
I didn't know.
I can read your face. Been looking stressed for a week, and then some. When you find out?
Last week, Jackson put me into his office.
Fuck. When they letting everybody know?
HR is sending out the notice next month.
We supposed to keep this secret for another month.
There's a lot of work. There's a lot being worked out. There's a lot of back and forth right now.
How soon?
Within a year, Faye.
Fuck! I hit 30 years at the end of the year in October. We gonna be around that long?
I don't know.
Severance packages be real different for 29 years versus 30.
I know.
What you gonna do? What about your family?
I've been trying to figure that out. I only got 15 years on me.
But you in a supervisory position. Different deal. They gonna find you another job, place you somewhere else.
Zelina just started high school, got to save up for college. We just bought that house over in Sherwood. Never thought when I was growing up in Finkel, I'd be able to afford my own crib in Sherwood Park. But I got it, Faye. It's mine.
That's good.
I'm gonna fight for a deal that makes sense, Faye. A deal that's fair for everyone to be able to live and keep afloat. Now, you can't say nothing to nobody. I'll lose my job. You know that, right?
I'm union rep. What do you want me to do?
I want you to wait and let the company do this right.
Do this right.
I wouldn't be in this industry if it wasn't for you. My mama never stopped reminding me of that, you know. Faye always been her most trusted soul sister. Recommended her son to get a job in a factory when there wasn't nobody hiring high school dropouts. And now look, I'm wearing a tie to work and buying a house for my family. I always appreciate that, Faye. You know that, right?
I know. She'd be real proud of you.
I'm gonna work hard to get us out of here with something. Something we can exhale into, all right?
I look worried to you.
You tough as bricks, Faye. Ain't nothing can knock you down.
See you in the morning.
All right, then. And leave those cigarettes alone, Faye. If not for plant rules, then at least for your health. Your son would kill me if he knew I let his mama smoke herself back into remission.
My son ain't giving two shits about that. He doing just fine without me. Get out of here. I'll see you in the morning.
See you then.
I just want to give, before the actors leave, I just want to recognize them and give them some love. Jordan Mahone, please come on out. Yale, Kimberly Lord, and Orange Park. So these actors in 5 hours presented to you what you saw this evening. So.
Okay, cool. Great. I'll sit right here. And yeah, so play it. Woo! Turn that on. Can get the playwrights up here. So, okay, hi everyone, I'm Sarah. This is Keith. He's the artistic director of New Black Fest. Camilla, who directed the readings. We have Judith, Dominique, and Paul. So we're going to start with Keith while everyone else gets mic'd up. So, first of all, thank you so much, Camilla and everyone, for doing a beautiful job with the readings. That was really awesome work. And Keith, I wanted to just start asking you, how did New Black Fest come about?
Okay,
how
sure.
did it start?
Well, first of all, let me just say again, thank the Martin Siegel Theater and Frank and everyone here for just allowing us to be here and to share our work and have this exchange. It's really important for our momentum and our presence in the city. The New Black Fest actually started in 2010. The Arena Stage had a Black Playwrights convening, which was part of their new Black play. I'm calling it New Black. Their new play institute, which at that time was at Arena Stage. I think now it's at Emerson College out of Boston. But they brought together 40 different theater practitioners who were of African descent and wanted to talk about the current state of Black theater and its presence in American theater and global theater. And it was a 3-day event, basically, where people just sort of talked about, or gave testament to the different things that were happening, sort of from play selection to experiences with producers, experiences with regional theaters, blah, blah. And at the end of the convening, the question was posed, now you know that these are the issues in American theater when it comes to Black storytelling. What are you going to do about it? Paul was actually there too. That's why I actually met Paul, noticed the playwright there. And he was actually still at Georgetown as an undergrad.
I think I
just graduated.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Right.
It's insane.
So at the end of the convening, when that question was posed, I just stood up and said, I want to start a festival. And I have no idea what that's going to look like, whether or not it's going to happen in my backyard or in my kitchen, but I want to do something. And part of that impulse to say that was because I had lived in LA. I was in New York for 5 years, and I moved out to LA to work in TV for 5 years. And I came back, and some of my peers had dropped out of the theater game, and some of them were also complaining about the same issues, which was American theater being very exclusive or sort of marginalizing their experience and their opportunities. And I felt like I want to do something for my own community. And this festival came out of that impulse and that sort of understanding about what was happening in my community, theater tradition.
Awesome, cool. And can I ask the writers how you each started writing and how you started working in theater?
Are we going this way?
Yeah, let's go this way.
All right, we'll go that way. All right, so, I mean, I guess you're saying writing for theater, or just writing, period?
Let's start with writing.
Writing, period? Okay, so for me, like, I guess, I mean, that starts with my parents. I mean, they're two very talkative and very like bookwormy people. And so I grew up reading, I don't know if it's anyone that's around my age, like Brian Jakes, Redwall, or like Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. These are things I grew up with. And to me, the whole idea of creating something that's an expression of our own experiences, especially when it comes to, my community. I felt the need to express myself. And at first it was just short stories and fiction, then it became poetry. And then then I went to Georgetown, and I was always dabbling in theater, but until I went to Georgetown, I kind of got that education on what, the actual basic theaters are. And I learned about August Wilson, Susan Parks, and George C. Wolfe. That really enlivened me, and I was like, this is my medium. This is what really, my words actually had that type of resonance, to see a body on stage and to project that story onto other people and have a conversation. That is really what got me right into theater specifically. So, yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dominique. I started writing as early as I can remember learning to write, honestly. As early as learning to write my name. And I used to read, I remember second grade is the earliest I remember actually jotting something down. And I used to, there's these Cabbage Patch Kid dolls, I used to have. And so I would write the Cabbage Patch Kid mysteries. They did an array of things, but what the Cabbage Patch Kids were really great for were things like solving mysteries, finding the kidnapped children in the neighborhood and returning them to their parents. Those were my stories. And I would write them on these little lined paper and fold them and pass them. I was the story pusher to my peers. And fourth grade was when I was really popular at that. And so that sort of carried me. I'm a poet. I write short stories and fiction. And when I went to school for acting, I went to the University of Michigan as an actress and studied in their theater and drama program. And that's when I became a playwright, because I was not getting cast, and none of the Black women in the department or Black folks in the department were getting cast in our main stage shows. And so I was starting to get really disgruntled by that. And so I was like, I'm gonna write a play, and I'm gonna direct it, I'm gonna act in it, I'm gonna choreograph it, I'm gonna dance in it, I will never be able to do all that again. But, for what I was in college, that happened. And I ended up, it was like a 3-woman show, because there was 2 other women in the department. What I was writing for us ended up turning into something massive. I had for a 3-person play, I had 20 people, literally. I had 20 cast members, because people would just come and say they wanted to be in it from other departments. And I'd be like, okay, what you want to do? Well, we're going to find a way for you to be in this play. And so I found, and then I would ask people, if you can't be in the play, can you, do some other stuff, on the side of the play? I just finding all kind of ways for things. And it ended up becoming, kind of legendary at the school of this production. It was a student-run show that got the most attention from, not just faculty, but that crossed borders of majors, because most people outside the theater department were not coming to see shows in the theater department. So we sort of broke some records there for this little 3-person play turned 20. And that's when I knew there's a need for this. I could see the need for stories to be heard, and I was sold after that,
I started writing in college, but the way that I started writing in college came from back in elementary school. I did watch my first African film, because my country is structured in such a way that everything that we were getting were white films. So for the first time, I watched an African film that was set in Zimbabwe. And I was in elementary school, and I told my siblings, and I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And it seemed like a joke at that time. But when I joined college, I joined college with that motivation to make films. But then at my college, there was no film program, but there was a theater program. And so I ended up in theater. And I think out of the many things that was being done at the theater department, production, writing, directing, stage designs, I storytelling spoke to me, and I just decided that playwriting was the thing that I was gonna do. So that's when I started to write.
And Keith and Camilla, when you're reading, what are you reading for in a play? What trends are you noticing when you're choosing plays and when you're learning about new playwrights?
trends, noticing trends. I think that there's always a lot of different trends, whether it's topic matter, whether it's kind of play, whether it's from ensemble to solo. I mean, there was a point where, there was an overflux of solo work. But I think, a play is a play is a play. And I think it speaks to you, not because of necessarily the subject matter, but really because of the voice and the heart. And those are the two things that, strike me. I mean, there could be a play about a subject matter I know nothing about, but if it has heart, if it has soul, and there's some way about the human experience I can connect to. So there's that part of it, but then there's another side of me, similar to, what everyone else is here saying about representation of stories. And I'm very keen on making sure that there's also, represent who are the new characters that we're talking about that are identifiable, that are in my community that there's not many opportunities to see them represented on stage. And that's also, moments that also speak to me where it's like, oh, wow, I've never met that person in this context before. And yeah.
Okay.
For me, when I think about story, I think about my own personal experience. I was talking to someone earlier today about, I think one of the actors, about the bicultural experience within people's homes, right? And I'm from Southern Ohio originally. My mother's family has been in the Southern Ohio area since the 1780s. They came after the American Revolution because the country gave them tracts of land. And my father's side of the family, they're from the South, and they went from enslaved African Americans to sharecroppers, and they came to Cincinnati when General Electric was making war engines for World War II. So I had two different experiences happening in the same household. So when I left the household and sort of experienced elementary school and junior high school and college, there was a single story, there was a single narrative that was being identified as the Black narrative. And I felt at first kind of resistant to it, but then I thought, well, this is institutional, so this must be the way we all should be going. And let me just sort of dismiss my bicultural experience in my Black household and sort of subscribe to this larger one-story narrative. And then I subscribed to it, I bought into it, and by the time I graduated from the University of Iowa in playwriting and came to New York, I saw that there was only the continuation of the single story was still being advocated for by even the larger institutions. And then I started seeing there were certain stories that were missing. There was the same story being repeated over and over and over and over and over. Every season, every theater was doing the same play, the same Black story. And I was like, I've had it. I can't take it anymore. Sorry.
Your mic can't take it.
I know, that's real.
And with that came, the understanding that I had so many different friends from so many different backgrounds. I mean, not just Black people, but every person, like from every color, every nationality, every religious affiliation, that all had their own singular stories that were so different from each other. I mean, even at this panel right now, Paul, Dominique, Judith, 3 different people, 3 all of African descent and are African, yet 3 different points of views, 3 different regional experiences. So I just felt like, for me, that I need to be in the world advocating for each individual story. Because I feel like we can't grow as a humanity if we're just stuck on one narrative. If we're only subscribing to one narrative and advocating for one narrative. I think the more that we sort of expose each other, because my thing too is not just exposing the larger audience to the various experiences within the Black community or whatever community, but even exposing each other, which is what Camille's talking about, like stories that we're not even aware of. Like I didn't know anything about Uganda until I met Judith and talked to Judith and read her work. I mean, I heard about it. I knew sort of like what the news said and what sort of encyclopedias said, but I didn't know the story of her experience in Uganda, right? The same for Detroit. I'm from Cincinnati, but Detroit is also a similar type of city, but I don't really know much about Detroit. So my thing is the more that we sort of learn about each other, the more we start advocating in a larger context for all of our stories to be told. And then therefore the larger communities sort of, we demand it to start embracing the various stories that we have to tell, and then also their various stories. So I look for the variation in the storytelling. So that's all that to say that.
No. And I guess kind of along these lines, so Susan Lloyd Parks has a really famous essay called New Black Math, which we talked about a bit, saying that each Black play includes race relation, but also race relation topics can be a trap. So I was just wondering what you think about that, if you feel that, what are your experiences with that topic? I know it's a big question.
No, I get, for me, because I've had that, I feel like all of us have had that conversation at one point or another time in our lives, but honestly, the way I understand a Black play, which I feel like that's a loaded word, but it's the idea of, it doesn't have necessarily, and I disagree with that whole idea that has to do with race relations, unless you're saying that race relations is inextricably combined with the Black experience, fine. But I think what makes it a Black play is that there's either a Black playwright or it's being expressed through the filter of the Black experience. And that is a very elusive thing. There's no one Black experience, like Keith said. So, it could be an August Wilson play, but it can also be I'm trying to think of something that's a little bit off, like Adrian Kennedy. All right, so totally two different types of styles, two different types of things, and it is made through a Black experience because she grew up as a Black American and Black person in America. So everything that she writes is informed by that experience. So I feel like there's no actual real rule when it comes to writing. It's just naturally going to be that way because inherently it comes from a Black hand writing with a pen, and that's it. I mean, there's no real actual rules. I think once we start combining or saying that there has to be certain definitions to a Black play, it no longer becomes something that's genuine. It becomes something that's kind of forced into a one narrative, if you will. So. Yeah,
that I've heard Susan Lloyd say that. She said that to a writers group I belong to at the Public once, and the idea of race being a trap, I don't all the way agree with. I think what she suggested at some point is that sometimes Black writers are considered the ones who are supposed to be writing about race.
Yeah.
And, Black writers can write about whatever they want to write about, like any other writers. But I think the other part of that is that, so we don't need to be writing about race, and I don't mind writing about race because I feel like I write about what the world is impacted by, and I don't feel like I can write about, I don't feel like I can stop writing. If I'm writing about society and the things that impact society, how can I not write about race when it's so prevalent in our society? So I don't feel like I can abandon that. I don't think I have to zero in on it, or I don't know. I don't have to come in any kind of way or box, or But to me, I say that because I also speak to a lot of young students in conservatory programs, and I hear a lot of young Black students saying that they're tired of having to be Black in a play. And I go, well, is you tired of being Black in real life? And I know what they're trying to say, but it just sounds a little weird when put in that context because I feel like I'm not tired of being a Black writer. I'm always gonna be a Black writer. I don't need to be tired of that. I think what we're saying is we're tired of being limited or for that to mean something specific to someone when it can mean so many things, And I think, so I just like to change the language around that. But for me as a writer, I'm gonna talk about race until racism is not a problem anymore. And so good luck with that, But that's what I feel, So it's I don't know. That one is I walk a funny line with that because I'm not quite sure what we're saying, but I don't feel that being a Black writer means, again, what writing about race means can look like 100 things, or race is not divorced from my work. So even if my work is not about looking at racism in Detroit. To me, this play was about the auto industry, but racism's there. It's underneath somewhere. You can't, it lives in the city. How can it not be in the play? And just because I might not spotlight it in the play doesn't mean it's not a part of the culture, because that's a part of the culture that we're living in. I can't divorce that. That's, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Great. Camilla, do you have anything?
No, I agree with what you said. It's because it's a difficult topic, and I think it's also statements like that are very loaded, very similar. Again, like when we start to put definitions on what Black writers should be doing. Paul Carter Harrison did it during the Black Arts Movement on what a Black playwright is, and made very stringent, parameters, which I think also affected the kind of work that was being developed during that time. And, I feel a certain way about that. I mean, I think it's all inclusive and exclusive all at the same time. And that statement about race relations will be there somewhere, but not necessarily always have to be, like, I like how you put it, Dominique, the spotlight on it. I mean, I think it's just a part of our reality as Blacks in America, but I think it's also changing as our demographics in this country is rapidly changing, and what it means to be Black in this country is rapidly changing. I'm triple, you know what I mean? I'm of Jamaican descent, I'm of African descent, you know what I mean? So my identity and how I identify myself is very different than how my parents identify themselves. So I think that's which changes that subject a little bit. So, yeah.
No, but that's nice because it expands it. So I guess along those lines, do you feel like in New York you're part of one conversation, or do you feel like there are parallel conversations happening in New York theater? And it's mostly for you, but everyone else. Like, do you feel like there's one theater conversation, or tons of different ones?
I feel like no, you can tag on too. I feel like the whole reason the New Black Fest exists is because there is another conversation that isn't taking this conversation seriously.
Do you feel like the one conversation is in conversation with you at any time? Or
I think they select when they want to speak to us. Okay. And I'm just being very real. I mean, this is 2012, why not just be candid, right?
Yes.
I just feel like, what I was talking a little bit about, my experience coming out of graduate school, and I subscribe to that whole, the whole steps. So you come out of grad school, you come out of college, you move into New York City, you go to the Public and the Playwrights Horizons and the, New York Theater Workshops and all of that. And then you're only sort of pigeonholed into these certain maybe fellowships that provide you with development opportunities. But then when they actually choose the plays to produce, you're not part of that decision-making. And that decision-making a lot of times is based on economy. And then there's something with their decision-making with the economy that's connected to who they think is going to buy the tickets, and who they think they buy the tickets may not be interested in that Black story unless it's an August Wilson story. Yep. So the conversation is about, again, back to the singular Black narrative. It's like this one Black narrative they are speaking about, but it's not really about a larger conversation. And so for me, as opposed to, I understand there's a limit to what larger institutions can do. They only have 5 slots, so they can't do 50 Black plays in one season when they have 5, slots. So I understand that reality. But also, I feel like so many of us come into this game expecting for these larger institutions to qualify our careers and sort of give us the opportunities. And so a lot of us are waiting in queue for that opportunity. And then meanwhile, we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And eventually we leave theater altogether and move out to Hollywood and write bad TV. And so for me, it's like, it's important for us to have our own conversation to keep us qualifying ourselves and keep expanding our creativity and keep broadening the conversation that hopefully everyone's a part of, and not just they're over there and we're over here. But we can't wait around forever for the larger institutions to anoint or qualify. That just doesn't even make sense. That's not even humanly possible. And so I just start by saying that.
Right. That was perfect.
Oh, no.
Agreed.
Let's do one more question here, and then we'll open it up. So, what's an example of a project that anyone has seen lately that has been more daring, that has opened the conversation up and kind of inspired you?
That's been more daring?
Yeah.
A piece I just saw, actually, which it kind of reminds me of that there's so many different theater kind of conversations, because I think theater comes in a lot of different forms and not just the regional theater system. There's a presenting model, there's a solo. I create theater on the street corner when I do my little breakdance. That's also theater. But I saw a piece just recently at BAM, Red, Black, and Green, a Blues, by Keith Josef. And I think what was so daring about it is that it was a piece about urban It was a piece about the greening of Black America. And he developed the piece he was producing these festivals all around the country. Oh gosh, Red, Black, and Brown, the festival name. Anyway, Life is Living in urban centers, which were encouraging people to be green in their communities. And he did it in 5 different cities, and that was his source material for his work. So collecting stories from Dallas, collecting stories from San Francisco, collecting stories from Chicago, and then also working with artists collaborative nationally to build this piece of work that has begun touring. And it was breathtakingly beautiful and phenomenal. Not just what was created on the stage, but also the process behind it. And that it also took an unconventional form of what we think of theater making and how we learn in the conservatory. You know, there was artistry in that, which was beautiful to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I can add something.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, this was September, I believe. But because I act on the side too, so I was doing a reading with MCC, and they had this great little development program for people who were like high school seniors and juniors. And I got to read for this, like literally just out of nowhere play. It was this young Black guy, and you could tell he's kind of like a Lupe Fiasco type, a very kind of nerdy but very like cerebral type guy. And he came up with this type of play where it was almost like Lord of the Rings. And like for me, like mind you, when I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time, I was like, there are no Black people here. I would love for that to happen. And like just, you know, I mean it's fine, but you know, I was just like, I wish this was, you know, a little bit different. And this guy, like, I was not like that in high school. This guy is just brilliant. I can't even remember his name, which is really sad. Julio, there's him. But he was able to create this world that was so vivid and so wonderful, and just it was so different in the sense that he had these. It wasn't just Black characters. It was the fact that he blended in his own experiences with his imagination, his idea to look beyond what's just seen. And I was so proud. I mean, honestly, like I was never that smart when I was smart in high school, but I wasn't that brilliant, and it just kind of gave me hope. And to be honest, I think that. You know, I mean, I wasn't really into, you know, Lord of the Rings like that, but the fact that this guy is, and he's able to show me this type of different view of the world, this type of different understanding of how people interact, and, you know, what love is. It was like this love story. It was beautiful. And it had this conversation. It got everyone talking, everyone from, you know, the stage manager to the actors to just people who came to see it. It got us thinking about the world in a different way. And I thought that was wonderful. So, yeah.
Great.
There you go.
Real quick. Can you talk really briefly about the future of New Black Fest and any upcoming events that you have?
Of course, yeah, definitely. The New Black Fest originally started the first year we did. There's a couple things I want to say. Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Camila Forbes is actually also the artistic director of Hip Hop Theater Festival, which has been in existence for a decade, right?
Yeah.
But she also works freelance as a director. So I just want everyone to know that about her. That's what she has a lot to say as well. We started off doing readings, which is great. And our second year, we did more readings. And this year, we actually got into development. So we were able to workshop 3 new plays by 3 different writers and give them a week of residency and then perform some of their work as well as readings. And we do some what I call new Black music, which is whatever that could be, just music that's great and new. So what I'm interested in doing in the future is building more and more development opportunities for writers, and also going into producing a small scale at first, maybe like a solo show or a 2-person show, and doing a lot of collaborating, which is what we kind of thrive on, which helps build community. We collaborated with Hip Hop Theater Festival, Classic Theater Harlem, Shabazz Center, and 651 Arts in Brooklyn. So building more collaborations and more development. So,
awesome.
Yes.
Great. Let's take 5 questions to start. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah? Yeah.
Dominique, is it?
Yeah.
I'm Austin Young. I loved your piece. I thought it was beautiful. You did the Made in the D, right?
Yeah.
I would like to know what inspired you to write that, and if it came from like your life or.
Yeah, thank you. Made in the D is part of a 3-play cycle that I'm building about my hometown of Detroit. So I'm from Detroit. My whole family lives there. My fiance's whole family lives there. I'm getting married there next year. Thought I'd throw that out because I just pick my date. That's a big deal. You know, what's making me build the cycle is honestly, the cycle is about 3 different time periods in Detroit. This is being the most current, most recent. And what I think are 3 time periods that really shape the landscape of the city or really define what kind of city Detroit is. And so for me, this third leg of the journey is I'm not done writing this play. It's just that there's only one scene beyond the one you saw. This is important for me to capture this story because I have family that works in the auto industry, because I feel like we had this so much, this whole country Detroit has risen to the center of the conversation because of the auto industry. And I think that's so interesting to me because there are so many people in Detroit who is getting all, you know, all I can hear, I'm sorry, but the sound bite in my head keeps going, let Detroit go bankrupt.
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
And I just keep thinking like, oh, my mama and my aunties, my cousin, my so-and-so lost their house, my daughter, you know. I started thinking of like the real people I know, and I'm like, let them go bankrupt. Ooh, I don't know, you know. They all worked in the auto industry. And I feel like what I want to do is this has become, and I run into so many people at home that lose their homes. I see my neighborhood that used to be like a really affluent neighborhood in the city. There's now kind of every other house is like, you know, every 2, 3, 4 houses has somebody's not living there. You know, I'm not saying it's dilapidated. I'm not saying that, but you can see the abandon. And I figured out, and I met a woman who was living in her car when I was home. And that really just kind of impacted me because I'm like, damn, this is the city of the people that make the cars. And now we the city of the people that live in their cars. Like something's really not right about that. So I wanted to look at the people who have the dirt under their nails that I think keep this country running, like literally driving forward. And what are their stories? Not the big wigs, but the little man with the dust and working in the conditions that, you know, are not always the best conditions to be working in, and who they are, because that's the Detroit that I know. So that's it.
Anyone else? Questions? Yeah. Oh, it's because we live stream it, so.
I was wondering if you guys could talk about sort of how you find artistic communities that you can be a part of, especially if it's outside of the academic realm. If you know, if you're not talking about grad school, or because I recently just dropped out of grad school. So it's like, how do you find alternative ways to stay involved in a creative community with collaborators when you're not going the sort of traditional route?
You create it. I mean, I know that sounds really big and large and amorphous, but I think, and most of these folks, you create your circle of friends, which become institutionalized, which potentially become companies and become festivals. I think that's the best way because we gravitate towards like-minded artists, aesthetics. And I've seen that happen over and over. I think about the Movement Theater Company. Yeah, I think about like the writers who develop companies of actors who they work with over and over with, you know, it's kind of large but simple.
I feel like being at things like this, like just attending events by organizations that always, I mean, if you want to be a part of a community, I think it has to be not just on this end, but on that end. Like we have to build our own, we have to be audience and participant for each other, you know, and like being available to those things really helps to enfold you into finding your community, you know. And I didn't go to grad school either. And I specifically did not go to grad school for playwriting. So I figured, oh man, I see all my friends getting, you know, a certain level of success in their careers, and they all got degrees in playwriting. And I go, ooh, you need an advocate. Okay. I don't have a school as my advocate. I got to find some advocates for myself as a writer out here, you know. And so I've known Camila for 10 years, you know. Wow. 12? Don't stop. Don't say that.
But
I started as a director in her, well, we're going that route, but I started as a director at the Hip Hop Theater Festival, just trying to get my hands like on whoever needed some help. What you need me to do, you know? And that to me is like these relationships. Camila has become an advocate for me, you know, to theater as her career blossoms. She becomes an advocate for the people that she's been building with. And so, yeah, this is how you start.
Anyone else?
My question is for Keith and Camila. I was interested, Keith, in what you were saying about not wanting to wait to be anointed by the mainstream, and so you chose to go and make your own party. And I'm curious to know, though, that Hip Hop Theater Festival's been around for quite some time. New Black Fest is really gaining traction now, and I'm curious to know if mainstream theaters have started coming to you in response to taking that step.
That's a very interesting, curious, and dangerous question. Let me just make sure I understood you correctly. You're asking if the other institutions came to us, helping push us forward and advocating for us.
If they've responded in any way.
Okay, right, okay. I will say this. Dave Dower, who was part of the New Play Institute that was housed that arena stage, provided that opportunity for all of us to come together that first year to have this conversation. So I feel like Dave Dower, his own artistic and professional interest is sort of changing the landscape and the language of American theater and global theater. So I certainly feel like he, as an individual practitioner and the organization that he represents, is certainly behind any type of movement and reshaping and redefining the way theater looks. Originally, our first year, it was very difficult to find larger institutions to support us. Lynn Nottage, who we all know, opened her backyard for our first fundraiser, which was great. It got us the kickstart that we needed. Felicia Lee, who is a New York Times writer who writes particularly about Black events in American theater, wrote an article about us because of Lynn Nottage's backyard experience. That was great. That first year, there were several different institutions that actually gave a thumbs up and sort of, donated a little bit of money here and there. The second year, not so much. The third year, almost null and void. And I'm not sure if because Time Warner, who had been advocates for us from the beginning, which isn't necessarily a theater institution, but they're certainly advocates for storytelling, have kept increasingly advocating and celebrating and providing us with whatever we need to keep going forward. Not all of it, but partially. So I would say yes to part of that question, and then no to the other part. I mean, what's more interesting to me is the theater practitioners that I came into theater with, I don't want to name names, that I reached out to a lot of people that I was in writers groups with at the Public, New York Theater Workshop, Playwrights Horizons, people who are not of African descent, who I've always sat in the audience and celebrated them, and I guess almost the expectation is that I'm supposed to, and I don't see them when we have our events. I reach out to them, I send them emails. I'm certainly always trying to express that this is an event that is actually about all of us, celebrating all of our existence in the world. And it's just that we happen to take the reign as far as how we want our stories to be told and sort of exploring our own stories. And I don't know if that's how the resistance is like, it's not them telling the story or them being. So I don't know what that's about, but that is the no to that other side of that question.
And I guess for us, we've definitely, there's been support, and it comes in different and interesting ways. We've collaborated with large and small institutions, the Public to New York Theater Workshop to Yerba Buena Center, of the arts in San Francisco to NCA. But I think there's definitely, there necessarily, and there's sometimes curiosity. So, you get programmed into sort of the, 1 week of the offshoot when there's nothing else going on in the major institution of the building because of one individual advocate in the building. So, I think that just speaks to, it takes a while for institutional shift to happen in our theater ecology, in our full theater community. So I think from the larger institution, it comes in drips and dribbles, but those drips and dribbles can eventually turn into a waterfall. So, has that happened yet? Not yet, but we'll see.
I think there was a question up
there.
Curious about,
It's because we record it.
That's why he didn't want that mic. That's why he didn't want it.
That shows you what.
I'm curious about your wonderful, wonderful actors and writers' position on non-traditional casting.
I'll jump on that. Judith, sure.
Judith, go for it, Judith.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I think I don't feel like I'm in the right position to talk about this because I come from a culture and country where this is not something that is an issue. But I do remember that when we read excerpt of Silent Voices at the Hybrid Theatre Festival, we did a non-traditional casting, and that was the first time I even heard about it when I got the reaction from some of the audience members saying, how can you cast a white actress for a lead Black role? Because, the way that most of the audience members explained it, that when they had that experience, because of the person who was acting the lead role, then it did not feel like a Black experience. It became the story of a woman in any other place who was undergoing this justice. And because the story is from Uganda, and also there were a number of Ugandans in the audience who then felt that they were robbed of the Ugandan experience of what it should have been like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to jump on that, I feel like it comes with context. I mean, we have people redoing, things like Neil Simon's play Barefoot in the Park, and you'll have like Dominicans that are cast for these roles or whatever, or things like things like that where you have that kind of thing where it's like non-traditional roles. But Barefoot in the Park it's been established that is like the original roles are for white actors, and the original idea was that this is this, and now we're just reinventing it. The thing that I feel like a lot of times we ignore is that the fact that these stories have yet to really be established to where we can play with that. I mean, a lot of times you have these new Black playwrights who we have these new ideas, we have these new plays, and this is what we wrote it for a Black actor. We wrote it for a white actor and blah blah, and we had these ideas, and the story goes with it. Now, I'm not saying over time we can recast it or whatever, do the colorblind cast if you would like, but I think it's up to just out of respect for the artist, if you have a certain story that you want to be told, give it the time for it to be established that that's the story, and then we can recreate it. But don't recreate the original right off the bat. Don't recreate the baby or try to give the baby a makeover when it comes out the womb. That's ridiculous. And so I think that's the type of way we should understand it as. I mean, because I've played non-traditional roles. I played roles that were in New Jersey, I played a role that was, originally it was Jake Long was the original guy who was cast for that role. And then they redid it and they brought it back, and now, they have the Black guy playing it, and it gave a totally different experience. It gave a totally different story. But they had the benefit of having that story established. They had the benefit of having, we know this is a reinvention. And so when it comes to things like you said, the play, they deserve the respect to say that our story needs to be heard, and we need to understand that that's our story, and then fine, we can recreate it. But have the respect to say that these are stories that, people had it that way in the first place. So yeah.
As an actor, I had a really interesting experience doing our town, regional theater, and it was touted as, especially for this theater, as a colorblind experience. Colorblind casting, so on and so forth. The second, third day of the rehearsal, we of color in the cast asked, is there color in Grover's Corners? The director made a very conscious decision. He thought about the question for a hot second, and he said no, right? And which means that ultimately that we then had to carry the weight of playing white people in Grover's Corners. Now, his choice to say no, I can say, was predominantly because he was lazy. It's not as though people of African descent did not exist in New England at the time.
Right.
It's just that in order to do that, you have to do work that reestablishes what we think we know about the place of anyone of color in history at any given time.
Yeah.
This assumption that there was like exclusivity ever in the history of the world, like there wasn't always an engaging of cultures or influence of cultures, is pretty ridiculous, right? Even as we think about the idea of an age of enlightenment. The Age of Enlightenment existed because Moors from North Africa moved into Europe. Like it's always a relationship in cultures, always, right? And America is a great place for which those relationships have moved, shifted, built things. But we as theater practitioners get stuck not only on the single narrative, but then we try to assume that we can cement into history who existed and who didn't exist in particular places by telling the same story over and over again. Instead of being brave enough to be like, well, what does this mean? And that's on like a really like historical fact kind of way. But the other thing is, because we're working in a field of imagination, we can imagine some things, but that takes work. That takes a lot of work and rethinking and reimagining. And so as an actor, I embrace the opportunity because as an actor, that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? But I find oftentimes that institutions and oftentimes leadership, because it's a lot of work for the director who has the vision.
Yeah.
You know, to not be lazy. And I don't put that on any particular nationality. I've seen, you know, classic, like, heroes of mine within the Black arts movement who are equally lazy. It's like, I don't feel like doing the work. So it's an interesting conversation that goes beyond whether or not we should do it, but more about, are we willing to invest in what it can really transform?
Yeah, and I know that's a real heated topic, question, clearly, right? That question can kind of can continue on. But I'll only offer something additional and say that, you know, there is the other element that I think people don't look at in this conversation about non-traditional casting. I would say, what is the intention? Like, what is the intention of the work? To do it, is it to do it because you just feel like you really itching to do somebody's work and you want to tackle this narrative? Is it because somebody told you can't, so you're trying to prove them wrong? What's the intention here? And I think the intention always has to service the art, you know. And for me, I think what becomes, when we get into that conversation, it goes, well, if a Black cast can do a Tennessee Williams play, why can't a white cast do an August Wilson play? And, you know, again, depending on the intention, what's the goal here? Is the goal to tell August Wilson's story as it is? Because that is very rooted in a particular culture that, you know, needs to have that understanding, because race doesn't flip like that. It actually, in our society, there's a dominant culture that we all have been practitioners of. And then there are subcultures that everyone is not a practitioner of, right? So if everyone is part of the dominant culture, we all learning a dominant culture, then when a dominant culture gets on stage, we do ask, well, why can't these people from this sector also play that dominant culture? And these people, because we all been learning the same culture, but these marginalized cultures have not been part of the dominant culture. So then how do we flip that story? How do you say, well, you haven't really been seeing, this experience has not even been illuminated for the majority of the country. So how do we, what's the common language there? You know, and I think that to me is the question of when all of these other cultures, when we all have a language that we know the Ugandan culture, and it is dominant a culture as, you know, the white Eurocentric culture, then we can all probably flip-flop a million ways, you know, because we all have that knowledge and that culture has become a part of us. But when it's not, then I think it is not fair to the marginalized cultures to continue to be further marginalized before their story makes it to the predominant culture. That to me is the real question with casting and non-traditional casting. Unless your intention is to just totally upset some shit, then by all means go for it.